Up next and last, we have Bruce Bond. Bruce Bond is the author of 15 books. He lives in Denton, Texas, where he is poetry editor for American Literary Review and Regents professor at the University of North Texas. Please welcome Bruce Bond.
It's an honor to be here. That's a great reading. I enjoyed it. Does this go up?
I couldn't figure it out.
Well, several of my books came out recently. I'm going to read just a little from each one to try to do right by my publishers. This is a book of 150 sonnets called Black Anthem. And I wanted to write against some common conceptions associated with sonnets. It's very much a book about otherness, and sonnets are often associated with the lyric self, and that whole conversation is very, very debatable. But I'm going to start with one called Whitman. The arguments for the existence of God do not exist. Any God will tell you. We give allegiance to the same blood that floods the iris when it closes. True, a bird might call you in the lost tongue of your bird, pour its grief clean through the hole that is its memory, its song. It knows the heart that has no heart to argue. It sings, if it sings, in the cardinal key of the garden, or in the dark whisper of the soldier who lies still, his body warm with morphine, as you kneel to hear him breathe, to take down his final story. Dear God, if you are there, believe in me. The Burning Cross. When I was a child, I washed my sins beneath the cross with a fire in the center. The abstract gold of it, bodiless, bare, no bright blood to desecrate the monstrous. Always that suffering yet to be visible, and the cross needed me to see it there, to give the past its flesh, its breath, its future. So when I saw for the first time the symbol torched to ashes on my neighbor's lawn, I thought of bodies consumed in the light of it. A fire ate so that it might be eaten, to ruin the image it printed on the dark. Everywhere the fury of confused glare that scorched the eye of its imagined savior. And one more. You guys know who Saint Sebastian was, following from Heart Visual Art mainly. He's the human pincushion. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, lots of arrows. Okay. That's what he's famous for. It is usually gorgeous. Well, his story goes, he did not die of that. He has like 100 arrows in him. He lived. And later, supposedly was clubbed to death, but you'd never see that painting. So this is Saint Sebastian. Pain is an arrow that pins a body to the bone. So much we cannot say, and pain becomes a word for that, for us. Take Sebastian in his wing to flout us. Not that we should feel a pinch of debt or ardor, though some do and love him for it. For he is a beautiful man, his skin limbed in the disgraces of his garment, to feather the walls of national collections. And yes, he lived, only to be crowned to death by clubs. But where is that canvas? The blunt force of the greater sacrifice, the unsexed Sebastian, unpierced, unfledged, unconscious, is he not as lovely and loved? I'll read from Gold B. I think this is roughly the order in which these books came out. I'm going to start with one. This is a book that's very much dominated by the theme of music, and I like to think of all my books as kind of psychology books, the psychology of music, but also of virtue, or the ideal. I suppose I wanted to take some themes that were in Stevens and carry them forward somehow. So this one's called Cello. The final note of the prelude in Bach's first suite pulls the oar of the performer's bow closer to her body, and so sends her into the great black drift here and there, a calm where music breathes. If the fall of rain were a still place, it would be a song like this, a long sizzle across the sea that takes and will not rise. It would be the better version of time, the better reason why you follow into no man's land, to see that hand about the dark end that grips the bow's horizon of hair and think, when I grow up, out of my body, I want a coffin like this, a box on a spindle, a warm voice between the legs of a stranger who plays nothing familiar until now. Long ago, the cello was my first glimpse at what desire looks like. Too young to know the emptiness, cradled in tune, given shape in spruce and maple, and on rare occasions willow was my own. The image of something missing in me out there and in a girl I loved. But it was not love. It does not crave a little space, an available motel or clean bowl whose open mouth accepts its thread of milk that never fills. My first love was more a stranger than I knew, and we fit together well enough, image to image, and my body fluttered out ahead some nights into God knows where. I saw beauty as form and not experience. And the only home of hope was memory on fire. Perhaps I envied the cello, its possible growl and coloratura, how it might be either gender, and so the body of both beast or angel and winter sky, and the hunger that survives the feast. Those who travel heaven and hell know the distance between them could be the slightest adjustment of the bow or modal cadence. My second love was the deeper wound, and I could not sleep, and the streets at dawn were clean as knives and glistening. I am what I am not, says the cello in love, not willow, not sound, not these alone, not form even, but the thin, continuous dialogue of freedoms other than our own. Every word, a conversation. One could do worse than envy a cello, to summon the dissonance that draws you to it, a shiver of maple, the pizzicato of rain, not the rain that falls, but rain the moment that the falling ends. The long, cold thread to paradise cut, and elsewhere, hear a voice. I'll read one more from this book. This is the title poem, Gold Bee. And I was doing some research on instruments that increase our ability to perceive the world. So radio telescopes, electron microscopes. And what I discovered in my extensive research on Wikipedia is that they often, scientists often coat the object of the gaze in some kind of conductive metal, and typically they use gold. You know this. You're nodding your head like you know this.
It seems to make sense.
It seems to make sense. Okay. So there's this gorgeous picture on Wikipedia of a bee with a pin through it, glazed in gold. So it's thinking about that. Invention is the mother of invention. And so the bee coated in gold, arrested in flight, pays homage to the lens that sees it, to the microscope of the new century that made this guilt a necessary thing. For gold loves an electron, carries it along the bloodless vein of the wing, thrilled in stillness to make a sharper image. What then are these electrons, if not bee bound for the hungry flower of the eye? A bee like that is everywhere you want to be, everywhere the whir of wings that halo the hidden violence of attraction. If this is one more music of the spheres, it goes unheard because we always hear it, like those first few months when we were tiny. The eye, too, is a haloed thing, an angel gilded in the light of foreign objects that come and go, and the eye burns on. Likewise, the meadows that are the mother of bees, who give in turn birth to meadows that pull at heaven and earth to be seen. Their corruption is everywhere as blooms that pay the boatmen to ferry their gold away. Or so says the thrum of petals no one hears, the blurred wings of ghost essentials we coat in the flown colors of spring. Can you blame us if we sweep the floor and bees? They sing a little to see us fly. Those in mourning know what it is to occupy a space of great stillness, an ideal that's never perfect for good reasons. It's ideal, sealed in honey, like the sad bells in cathedrals of Prague, where the pharaoh's coffin glazed in metal for the journey, gold dreams the long dream of an underworld economy. It would stabilize the terms of give and take, the forces of impoverishment and fortune that litter meadows in their season. Nature envelops nature and calls it new as death is new and violent and still and never still enough. If you look hard there, you can always see something moving. It is your eye looking hard, moving in as in the word invention, in venire, and entering. Always a child inside us, grown small, a steeple in the thread of day, poorly remembered that passes through. Inside every memory there is another, a place that waits with the patience of heaven. Always a speck of dust, quick as music, and made things that would make the maker. They are in there, the powers of invention that open something. The bee, the blossom, the eye, the bee gold eye, a beak. The book that they have for sale here is sacred. It's in large part because the good people at Four-Way Books helped set up this reading, and I really want to do justice by this book because it came out in close proximity to my new and selected. But it is a book that has a lot more personal poems in it. It's very much about the body. There are a lot of poems in here about my dad and my wife's dad. And, we're at that age where we see our parents go through really, really tough transitions. I'm going to start with a poem which is actually about my cat. My cat's graveside. Yeah, we had to... I was trying to move my cat's bones from their resting place because we were trying to build a study. Well, we actually did build this out now. My wife's getting a little emotional because it was a difficult time. I could not find these bones to move them. But I tried and wrote this poem about that experience. We had to take out a hackberry tree to build this structure. And the cat was buried beneath the hackberry. So this is called hackberry. I never could find them, my cat's bones, though I know still they are somewhere near, laid beneath the hackberry we cut down to make room for the study we are building. I have tried thinking less about my cat's attachments than my wife's, the unearthed grief that wanders our yard, looking for the new resting place and trees to give it shade. These days are long, and the parts we play lie down long before our bodies follow. So when she saw the tree taken from what was once our plan to take it, the loss seemed more clear and thus more difficult to see. I tried, and so broke ground like a promise around the holes that soon would turn to anchors, buckets of concrete to pin our floorboards down. I love that cat, the way a room loves a door that turns to sky each time it opens. Once we held her high and said she was flying, pretended too to catch her purring body, which we talked to constantly, pretending. She taught me love is not quite empathy, however strong those roots in us, not quite what animal grace may or may not know. I never could find her, nor the broken doll that is her body, though I swore I stood there and kept digging where I just was until everything went soft. Forgive me, cat, you Who lie down in the wife who lies in me, so deep no spade can find you. Hard for us to tell sometimes, was it pleasure or sleep that closed your eyes? Was it you who flew? I'll just read one more. I want to get to a couple of those like so this one's called Consolation. The hospital cafe plays soprano sax in the loose-limbed, unconflicted style of cheer, floating through the night light. Most of us sit alone with our phones and talk, if we talk, to no one here. Trays, when abandoned, wait for hours with their half-carved cubes of lemon jello. The scraps of meat that were just too much, or not enough of something else, and so would not go down. The music understands this is no place to add to the burden. Though the soft rock and Kenny G of denial lifts no heart, I know. Still, it knows something about being left behind, and so becomes the dull and loyal friend our problems tend to take for granted. It hums its air-conditioned hum, waiting for that thing to happen, that news to break, and so to break us. It knows the confusion of the tongue, dumbed with Novocaine, fumbling the words, or the woman in the lobby who watches the surgeon come in, sit down, and talk, his mask pulled down and gathered at his throat. She watches his lips. They are deliberate. They are slow and more cold than ever. The music goes swiftly through her now, without dissidence, blood, or cruel surprise. First of all, I need to know how many people in the audience know who Tara Reid is. Okay, this is, and the rest of you don't.
The filmmaker?
What's that?
The filmmaker?
Tara Reid. No, Tara Reid was in American Pie. Does that ring a bell? How many people see American Pie? No, you haven't seen American Pie. Okay, I gotta explain. There was a time I could just read this and everyone get it. But Tara Reid, yeah, she plays the girl who goes to Cornell in American Pie. And so she became kind of a celeb overnight for this movie. And so she's on all the magazines that you see at the dentist office, she's talking about her weight going up and down and so forth. And a certain wardrobe malfunction, isn't that what they call it? Yeah, okay. Dysfunction, I should say. So this is called People. And this is based on a true story. I'm really here at the dentist. People. In the land of People magazine, Tara Reid is having a hard day. It's her body again. Too fat, too thin, too much of a body to fit into our imago of the prurient angel perpetually young. Here and there, the combustible cameras go on and off like fireflies that hover in the dark wood. You see them burn inside the startle of her gaze. I want to say, get a life. But then, it is me who is reading People magazine. So many aging starlets, so many bright white shores littered with the exiles of heaven, with the desert palms and lemon trees that bend with ripened fruit. I look up from the page, and it's my turn in the chair at the dentist office. My brain gone gray as the tooth I came with, the large one she scrapes like a skeptic at a hieroglyphic. It's nothing, not yet, she says, only the seed of the filling shining through. And then there's the root of another one, exposed. The way Tara was that night, her breast slipped out of her drunken joy. Drunken, yes, but joy. Were this the heart of April, I might hardly notice the cobalt blue of morning. Hallelujah, say the barren limbs that point every way but down. Tara Reid, chirp the dusty sparrows. And who would shame the shameless of their joy? It makes us feel like gods again. The deeper our indulgence, the more we turn the smooth complexion of the pages. Why pair the lives of stars until their bodies collide? All the bright white teeth of sexual revenge. The gods know a good disaster when they see one, the kind that scandalizes a goddess, that roots her to the common ground. So it is when the divine mingle with blood and boredom. They too need a story to keep the cameras fluttering their eyes. Another Terra sits at her dresser, brushing a bee from the lip of her wine. She suffers the silences of rooms inside of rooms like us. Another God seed enters the human the way we in turn enter theaters, the way the mind enters the whole at the end of a life. Only a dark like this knows what it is to turn gray and fester, to bear the beam of hope we shed, not far, but far enough. One story bleeds into another, cut, a wrap, and she exits the scene, taking with her a bottle of something disgraceful. Something we cannot see, no one does, not now, not ever. She opens her mouth, we open. Some silences are so thick they touch everything, like the air that touches the objects in a room. Something kisses her lips, she swallows, we swallow. And then she turns away, taking with her the need for some last privacy and exposure all at once. If not youth, then abandon. If not wisdom, then mystery, which is a kind of youth. The common birds sing their December music. They sprinkle the sound like water from the hand of a priest, in fear and joy, or both at once. Who are you to know, they say, and no one answers. Who are you, they sing, and will not stop. One more. This is the title poem, and it's written about LA, which is where I came from. Blackout Starlight. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to read with you guys. Okay, Blackout Starlight. At the base of a leg of smoke on which the heaven of Los Angeles stands, a man is burning the unidentified remains of a chair and a can, and his shadow grows tall against the warehouse wall behind his eyes. Another man joins him, and in the distance you hear a siren, a dog, and then another, and the whispered sea of the interstate coming ashore. In other words, a kinship of silhouettes and voices falls over the talk and inner lives of those who otherwise might appear left out of the larger conversation. I read once, fire came to the center of our social circle for this. Before it cooked our meats, it held our fascination. It held us. And then the howling. And a man shares a hit of smoke with a man swept with the others from the center of town. The new money is buying up the old, and the rents that sweep beds from these apartments, and the mission is full, and the flames keep breaking some local ordinance to pieces like a chair. Just today, the one man sat through a sermon in a parking lot because it came with coffee and a roll, and a city of angels that had no suffering, only strangers to their experience on earth. It felt like a story told over the fire, the stars taking aim among the copters with their needles of light. Something in the sermon's voice rose with a clarity foreign to smoke. It helps some. The coffee is hot, and the new money keeps burning a hole in the pockets of Los Angeles where land is cheap and people move along a step ahead of the law and the seasons. Welcome to paradise, says the postcard of a beach in the fire. And as it crumples, nothing changes, nothing moves in a dress like that, for the streets are swept each morning by machine. There is a better world, surely, and the darkness of the warehouse wall ebbs a little as the ashes rise. Whatever the medication, it is always wearing off. Whatever the angel dust that falls from the construction, power is always hungry, thin, gone the way of white powders in the high rise, and the air above the earth movers coming to rest. Any pretense here, the whole picture gives way to the perspective of a man or two. Beside the warehouse, words and silences get exchanged like cash buying cash. And the larger conversation is less a conversation than the ghost of elsewhere thumping in a black limousine, The window is the mirror of our own exclusion. One's hand could be shaking for some unspoken reason. One man could hear the siren spread dog to dog and laugh with another. And what the hell? Time to put the whole enchilada in. The chair and the missing man had held, the leg with its claw, the arm curved like a broken overpass. Time for the part that never was a chair, it is now. Fire makes it so, and so mails the postcard back to where it came from, to St. Peter at the electric gate beyond the local ordinance that is the space around a heaven that keeps it safe. Put it in, the angel and the machine, and the ball that drops through the wall of the tenement, the bright flock that scatters like a window. Put them all in, the way a dog puts it all in the cry we call his, though something the size of the whole picture is happening to him. Echo untouched by echo, throat by throat. Something of the whole heart cut out of hiding, the deep red part, hurled into the dark like meat to the wall, and the shadows roar. Thank you so much.